Freeze!
Detective, having fun?
Bailey froze on the spot, unsure what the right answer was. This dame was so infamous for her coke dealing that she'd earned the drag name Columbia. Dame Columbia Snow.
A little birdie told me it isn't your crowd work filling seats these days.
And what little birdie is that?
An old friend.
Old?
Your ex sends his regards.
I appreciate the Liza Minnelli Girl detective routine. But you need more than a rumour to arrest people.
Would this do?
Oh dear.
The police chief arrived at the bar half an hour later with forensics, and as the detective bounded up to discuss the big break in the case, they were met with a silent scowl.
Tempest, you've made a bloody fool of yourself.
He was a large man with a pronounced moustache and a hardened attitude. His moustache bristled when he talked, especially when he was in a mood. With his mood tonight, you could use it to sweep the crumbs from the table.
I caught Columbia, the coke queen of Soho.
You're making an embarrassment of our good city dressed like a cross-dresser.
Bailey was braced for a slur. Cross-dresser was pleasantly light for the chief's usual vocabulary.
All this over a little bit of lip gloss and hair gel.
It just doesn't look professional.
Bailey took off their policeman's cap. They were in the mandatory workplace uniform. Their fiery hair was buzzed to the appropriate length for a boy. Their nails were trimmed and unpainted. They were even wearing police-issued jumpers and boots.
You're representing the city.
I am this city.
Don't argue with me, Tempest.
Oh, ungrateful bastard. Maybe I'll do some freelance detecting, done on the old Private Eye website. I just need to get the hell out of the city for a few days. Now that's more my style. Expensive canvas portrait stolen from St. Ives Gallery. High reward. Hi, Malcolm. Just to say, I'm running late. You know how the trains heading to Cornwall are. Even with my novels, it still feels like an eternity. The frustrating thing is I can't even clear out my emails. Everything I get sent is always confidential. Anyway, I should be there in an hour. Call me when you get this. Hello, Malcolm. Is that you? Yes, I've arrived. I think I might be a tad overdressed. These boots are killing me. But as my mum always says, a reliable jacket and some sturdy riding boots always make a good first impression. I should be coming up near the hill in 10 minutes or so. Call me when you get this.
They travelled up in very light makeup and had made a compromise with themselves to blend in with the locals and accept whichever words were used for them, provided they were used with kind intent.
These people are country folk. They'd make a fuss about someone like me.
They made it up the hill until they were overlooking the coast, the bitter sea air slicing into their thin city life jumpers and their investment tweed. The sea battered with foam in crisp short waves against the sharp grey rocks. The cold stone walls standing bravely against the tide, but providing little shelter from the incoming waves that would no doubt disrupt everyone's plans.
Looks like the storms are coming.
How about a tempest? Oh, Malcolm, you've arrived.
Well, of course.
I was beginning to get worried when you didn't answer my messages. Last time I saw you, it was years ago. How's the husband?
Dead.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Don't be. He was a rotten old tart. Should have divorced him years ago.
Sounds like the cold sea air has made you bitter.
Something like that.
Malcolm's house was covered in Broadway posters, each signed by a C-list starlet or a niche singer. Malcolm's pantomime era littered the toilets with cranberry and holly shades, his operatic stint in Berlin took centre stage in the dining room, and his tour with the circus graced the staircase in regal whites and off-centre blues.
So, how's my favourite girl?
Bailey flung themselves over an old sofa, looking like the Sistine Chapel painting.
Oh, I tried being a woman. Too many surgeries and scary pills. Plus, they get itchier underwear.
So are you a full-time boy now?
Can't we just get on with the case?
You're here for a case. I thought it was a social call.
Oh, do you have a spare room I can crash in?
Upstairs to the left. But this is only because you...
Before he could finish, Bailey was already upstairs and dumping a hard leather suitcase onto the bed. Malcolm really didn't have a choice. After Bailey rescued him from a stalker during his Parisian tour with the cast of Chicago, he owed them big time.
God, even for gay B&B standards, this is an insufferable attention to detail. The paperwork is practically embossed.
Just to let you know, I'm headed to the pub to meet a handsome sailor in a bit. Please lock up behind you.
One last finishing touch. Perfect.
Bailey prepped to leave, heading to the address written in the email. It was evident at first glance that in a past life this gallery was used as a lighthouse with a jetty. Now a small rowboat stood where a much larger vessel had once been. The detectives steeled themselves and knocked.
Hello?
Hi, I'm Detective Tempest. I'm looking for Mrs. Cray. I'm here on special business.
Detective! I do hope you had a good journey up.
Yes, thanks. Train was a bit crowded, but you know how the rush hour trains can be.
Well, come on in. I'll show you around.
Jesus, can't I get any privacy around here?
Melanie, so sorry, dear. I thought you were out for the day. Ignore my niece. She's rude to everybody. Almost at the top. Welcome to my private collection.
Where does that hatch lead?
On the roof. That one leads right up to the lantern. We don't generally go up there.
Detective's notes. We're entering a room filled with detailed depictions of celebrities, people who seem to be friends of the Cray estate, and other figures that seem important. Each painting is accompanied by a brass plaque detailing the significance of everyone depicted. There is one plaque in the center of the room that sits alone against a large, sun-bleached outline where the painting should be.
That spot used to hold a portrait of my late husband. It took a lot of negotiation to get him back from the gallery in Munich. He was a very proud man, my former husband.
Can you tell me who might want the painting? Who had access?
I mean, Melanie would have, for starters.
Anyone else?
There are an assortment of private art lessons in the public area downstairs. Anyone could have nipped up.
Would any of your students want the piece? If it was just financial, then it seems like a risky move to just snatch it.
But hard to get it down all those stairs unnoticed, though.
This will take more than a tape measure and some common sense. Detective's notes. I'm spritzing for fingerprints on the hatch up to the lantern. Although I'm aware that prints don't tend to last too long. Okay, I'm going to try the roof, so let's hope it can support my weight. I took photos of the smudges before opening it. Detective's notes. The surface of the lantern room is colder than the ground floor was. Oh, and the coastal wind is striking through my jacket. I can't concentrate up here. Oh, far, 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 too far. Oh, oh, okay. Okay, that's odd. Attached to the railing is a carabiner, some torn ropes, and some other climbing equipment I can't quite recognize.
Hello? Detective? I've brought tea. I hope you don't mind semi-skimmed milk.
Oh, Fiona.
Hi, Detective. I brought some tea and biscuits. I was sorry they're a bit crushed. The last class I teach downstairs didn't put them back in the tin properly.
Thanks. Sorry to bother you, but did anyone else have access to the roof?
I don't believe so.
And just for the record, how much would you estimate that portrait was worth?
The insurance company estimates it would go for 50 grand in an auction.
Insurance company?
Yes, they said we need to start investigating so we can claim anything.
And was your husband well liked?
Now that's a far more complex question. He had quite a presence in town.
If there's anything you want to tell me, I'm not here to judge.
Oh, it wasn't an affair or anything glamorous like that. No, he just funded a lot of things in the town. He ran for mayor once or twice. It's very easy for small-town grudges to snowball.
If I wanted to get a fuller picture of your husband's reputation, who should I ask?
Try the pub. He was a regular.
Final question. If I was looking for a place that sold ropes and carabiners, where should I look? I want to get into rock climbing while I'm here. Exercising helps me think.
Oh, we're a fishing town, love. Ropes are everywhere. But there is one main supplier just north of here. Jenkins Sailing Supplies.
Thank you for your time. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon.
Bailey bound up to the fishing supply shop, files in hand and a smirk painted on their lips.
This is going to be easy. Just a few polite questions, and we'll know immediately who stole it. How many people are out buying abseiling rope?
This was, of course, the wrong answer. Within 20 paces of the shop, the shutters were peeked through by a nosy older man in a chunky cable knit jumper. He gruffed just out of earshot as the detective opened the door.
I'm looking for some information on where to buy boating rope. Like this kind.
You don't look like the sailing sort.
As my father used to say, soft hands require hard work.
What's the job?
Someone climbed up the Cray Gallery a few weeks ago. I want to know how they did it.
That looks like 6mm multicord. We had a shipment last week.
Can I have a look at your customer list, then?
I beg your pardon?
The purchasing records?
I don't know who you think you are in the big city, Sunshine, but here, we don't give away people's private details unannounced.
I'm investigating a case.
I'm sorry, officer, but until you have a warrant, that information is private.
Thank you for your time. Ugh, I hate it when they're right.
Hey, how was the case?
The gallery owner seems nice, but my main lead seems to have flopped.
Main lead?
I have reason to believe the painting was stolen via abseil. There were bits of rope still caught in the carabiner.
I guess that means you met the sailor shop man.
Yeah, he seemed a smidge defensive.
His best customers were caught without a fishing permit and fined heavily. Ever since then, he's been less than fond of the police.
I noticed.
Lasagna for dinner?
Oh, Malcolm, babe, close your dressing gown. You're Sharon Stone in Basic Instincting me.
Oops, sorry.
Although, after the incident at the fishing shop, I was thinking if the locals are distrusting of outsiders, I might need to try a few more tricks to get them to talk.
I'm sure you'll find a way. They just need to think you're one of their own.
Later that night, the detective dove into their suitcase, pulling out a few small accessories they'd never travelled without. They weren't expensive supplies, but you'd be surprised how far a few small accessories could go.
Okay, I've got a special effects moustache, a small bottle of wig glue, and a shaggy 70s men's fringe hairpiece. An old reliable in the shapeshifter's arsenal. Okay, that should do for now. It's not glam, but I could pass as an IPA beer drinker. Yeah, bro, I'll be getting an IPA. Something hoppy and local. Yes, I'm Mr. Bailey Tempest. Ugh, saying that aloud doesn't feel right, but at least I recognize myself in the mirror this time.
It was a hard job to describe gender dysphoria. It seemed to come and go like a fever, like a jumper that didn't quite fit, or swimming in Speedos at a public pool. It left you feeling itchy and like you didn't quite belong. The trouble with the detective's current situation was that these feelings didn't go away like they used to. They tended to ping-pong back and forth from one presentation to another. Some days would make manhood feel like a welcome reprieve. Other days it felt like entrapment.
No IPA drinking dude wears tweed.
The compromise Bailey had come to was to present in neutral earth tones and ambiguous silhouettes, to lay in the liminal space between Annie Lennox and David Bowie, leaning into heavily unisex practical wear and light jewellery. They'd been gifted with soft features and a refined bone structure. Others of their ilk had not been so lucky.
I'll have to drag out the 2000s action movie jacket. It'll make me look a bit too much like a soldier, but on the flip side, at least it gives me sharp shoulders.
They left for the bar with the hopes to arrive before 7 p.m. When they got there, they slunk into a chair, trying to look tired and forgettable, which this late in the evening had become method acting.
Drag king rules, he until the wig comes off. Just like all the lesbians from uni that used to rescue my old car when it came off the road.
Hey, you're new here?
Hey,
You look familiar. Have we met?
you may have ran into my twin. She's living in town and staying with me for a few weeks. Something to do with a painting, I don't know.
Oh, hey, I heard about that.
Hmm?
Yeah, my aunt has been stressed sick. She owns the gallery on the other side of the hill.
You don't have any ideas who might have stolen it.
Everyone in town has a motive. My money is on it being an insurance scam.
Insurance scam?
I mean, if she can prove to the insurance people that she's hired a third-party investigator, she'd be able to claim that painting for a fortune. And that's before we consider the amount of press it would get.
But why hire my sister?
Proof of effort, I suppose? I mean, it's either that or the sailor guy that runs the docks.
What?
You know, Captain Jenkins, the old grumpy chops at the bait shop.
Why would he be involved?
Well, Uncle Sidney made that law about fishing licenses. The one that stops half his business. Puts this town on its knees, for God's sake.
How do you know all this?
Mum and Dad loved the drama of it all. They always discussed it when they thought I wasn't paying attention.
Did the law screw over anyone else? Surely he can't be the only business suffering.
Oh, easily half the town. If you confiscate the fish, then the restaurants close. After that, no one's hiring. It's the biggest employer here. You'd think it'd be the hotels or the art studios, but apparently not.
So, what did he do again?
Basically, he tightened up fishing licenses and put a cap on the amount fishermen could sell. Something to do with fixing the environment and keeping enough fish to breed. Something like that.
I guess some people have to make tough choices.
She gets on my nerves sometimes, though. My aunt, I mean. Everyone in this town does. Everybody here is so small-towny. They don't have any ambition beyond getting in the local paper. I want to move to the big city one day. Or at least a bigger city. Maybe not London. Maybe Bristol? Or Manchester?
I used to live in London. With my twin. It's not what it's cracked up to be.
It's got to be more open-minded than here.
Actually, I'm not fully sure it is. They all think the world ends the second you leave the London Mile. Even Reading is considered a third world country to them. You know, country people are just city people, but with less to do. My sister and I are staying with a friend while we're here. He's been everywhere, yet he still chose Cornwall.
One day I'll be able to afford a flat in the city. Then I won't have to play social media monkey under my aunt's shadow.
That won't be forever. Oh, speaking of forever, I've got to get back soon. My friend's cooking lasagna.
I didn't catch your name, by the way. Mr.
Tempest.
Nice meeting you.
How on earth did Malcolm sleep like this? Oh, right, he toured. Ugh. And it's still 2:30 at night. God, that alarm clock is blinding me.
The main thing that kept them up was their career. At what point would the bank run out and send them crawling back to Scotland Yard? They washed out of bed and decided to go on an evening walk, clear their head. Maybe the coastal air would tire them out, or at least they might see some stars. The night air was colder now, but the quiet was refreshing. London had never been that quiet. Their heels sunk into the sand and the lunar light seemed to bathe everything into a quaint silver. Were they becoming a country person? Just as they drifted towards the end of the coastal path, a shadow seemed to appear by the lighthouse. Bailey rubbed their eyes to see if they could see it clearer.
Is that a bloke on a bit of boat sailing in the wind? What are you doing?
Who are you?
I asked first.
I'm a model.
A model?
Yes, of course. They do live drawings here.
So you're not stealing a painting?
I'm not. What?
Life drawing? At this time of night? What kind of man does life modelling after midnight?
Ask the artist. That's none of my business.
I thought small towns were supposed to be accommodating.
The morning came around quickly, and so did Malcolm's loud kitchen work. He rattled teacups, mugs, toasters and frying pans. At this point it was more noise and mess than cookery. A half-cocked detective scrambled out of bed, a look of death in their eyes.
So, is the orchestra included, or do I have to pay extra?
So, much luck with the case? I assume that's why you snuck out last night.
No need to be so happy. I think it's the niece, but I don't have the evidence to prove it. However, Fiona Cray did have someone smuggled out of her workshop late last night.
A secret love affair?
He was far too good looking for that.
There are lots of reasons young men might be attracted to older models, you know. Sometimes a classic car can outrun the newer motor.
I mean, well, she is very rich and influential. One portrait and he'll be in the papers for weeks.
People can just fancy older people, you know.
How did that work out for you? Anyway, he said it was for life modelling.
Life modelling? Seems like an odd hour to do that.
That's what I thought.
So why would dear Melanie steal a painting?
When she was drunk, she seemed to have a grudge against her aunt. Kept going on and on about wanting to move out of Cornwall. The only thing that doesn't really fit is the abseiling equipment.
Hold on, that doesn't make sense if Melanie sold it. Why would she still be here in Cornwall?
Maybe she's waiting for the heat to die down? Anyway, I've got to go. I'm wanted back at the gallery to explore further.
Make sure to check out the ice cream shop if you get a chance. I think the students run it as a hobby, but it has an excellent raspberry ripple.
One of those, please. Always good to have a bit of sweetness before work.
Moments later, the detective arrived at the gallery, wiping their hand against their mouth to clean the twist of vanilla that lingered on their lips. They began to notice the look as someone answered the door. They'd seen that look before. Too many times. A tall, academic-looking man in circular glasses broke the silence first.
Everyone, I think there has been a medical emergency.
Detective Bailey Tempest in A Brush with Death was written and produced by Matthew Walker. Detective Bailey Tempest was performed by Alex Chu. Malcolm was performed by Stephen Pearce. Sailor Jenkins and Detective Blake were performed by Doug Daly. Fiona Cray was performed by Lily Mummery. Melanie was performed by Rebecca Donald. The narrator was performed by Toby Rothwell. And Rami Singh was performed by Yusuf Malik, featuring guest cameos by Jay as Herman the German Professor.
All audio was listed in the show notes, and music by Tessa Violet.
If you want to support this project, or any projects going forward, I am available for hire as a writer and audio editor. There is a Ko-Fi link below where you can find the original scripts and the novelization of these series. Please donate generously. Thank you for your time.